So today, my second guest of this new venture is Commander Michael Bray. Welcome, Commander Michael Bray.
Hi, Paul. call me Mike, please. It sounds horrible.
The common theme with the people that I've got on today is they are humble. And we've just discussed about you being humble, not shouting from the rooftops. But Mike very kindly sent me a bio of his naval career. And it reads a bit like a who's who of what's going on. More acronyms that you can shake a stick at. But you started as a Royal Navy Artificer Apprentice in 1997. Basic training at HMS Raleigh. And you were streamed as a Weapons Artificer, joining HMS Collingwood to complete your weapons engineering training. Selected for Warrant Officer in 2007. Where you served with the 20th Armoured Brigade in Iraq. We'll talk about that as well. At Basra Air Base, I believe. Okay.
Yes.
Then, having reached Warrant Officer status, you were selected for a commission, passing out of Britannia Royal Naval College in 2010. Before further specialist training at HMS Collingwood.
Back to do the weapon engineering side of the officer side of it.
Promoted to Lieutenant Commander in 2017, serving as a WEO, which is a Weapons Engineering Officer. Good, I got that, on HMS Lancaster. And during this time, you were activated as part of Op London Bridge for Her Majesty The Queen's funeral, for which you were awarded a member of the Victorian Order. Amazing. Did a bit of research. Victorian Order started in 1896 by Queen Victoria to recognise people that just go above and beyond for service to the monarch and her family. Pretty much.
It's an honour. It's one of those things. We'll probably move on to it, but
we'll go on to it. Promoted to Commander in 2023. Currently working at the as Secretariat to the Naval Board in NCHQ. NCHQ stands for
Navy Command Headquarters over. We write bios to put on walls in Navy establishments,
so everybody knows.
So everyone knows the acronyms. Not to. So I apologise. I should have.
No need to apologise. So you live in Hamble with your partner Marie, who's a warfare officer.
So she's in the Navy as well. Lieutenant Commander. She's
two young children, Eleanor 4 and Beatrice 1.
Yes.
Hobbies including running. You've done 3 full marathons.
3 London marathons and quite a few half marathons. But at the moment, I've sort of crippled myself through field gun this year.
That was the other thing I wanted to get onto as well.
Too old.
you do the field gun runs.
Yes. So not the. It's weird. The Royal Tournament ones where you see people swing over ropes and
right.
That ended in 1999. I think the last run was at Earl's Court, which we, as an apprentice, we took some cadets up to watch. An amazing.
So many injuries, though.
So many injuries, but it was just one of those things that it was an amazing event. During artificer training, we tried to get in on the team, but we were told that because they were spending so much on our training, they wouldn't allow us because it was a 6-month break in training or any activity you were doing. It was 6 months secondment to the team. So they couldn't afford to do that, so we weren't allowed to join. So the only thing we could do is what they call Brickwood's field gun, which is run. It's the same guns, but it's just at HMS Collingwood on the tracks. And it doesn't involve the chasms and stuff like that.
So you don't do the sheer legs or anything of that nature.
But it's still difficult. It's still. And I'm too old. I think I've proved that this year. I've almost popped both Achilles, which is why I'm limping and can't really go up and down stairs very well. So
The only reason I mentioned sheer legs was to make it sound like I knew what I was talking about.
You're all over it.
I had a friend, a very good friend, who was a baby stoker.
Right, okay.
And he was the flying angel. So it was just amazing going to watch him perform.
It was an amazing event, a part of the Royal Tournament, but the actual field gun competition, the proper field gun competition, we'd call it.
So it's the Navy, the Royal Fleet, Air Arm,
Portsmouth, Fleet Air Arm, and Devonport. Those are the 3 teams. So the big establishments that could put teams together. So whereas the Brickwoods one's open to a lot more teams. So I entered a team I was the field gun officer for HMS Excellent this year. So I entered the team thinking that I would be the field gun officer, taking charge, not taking part. And I suddenly found that because we didn't have enough numbers, I was on the back of the box, which I first did field gun 27 years ago when I was a lot younger. And this year I felt every single
one of those years.
Every single one of those years, and me too on that track, But it was we put a team together, we got out there, we competed, we didn't come last, and we had a great time. So it's the spirit of it. It's taking part, and it's actually team ethos, I think, behind it.
Team building as well, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
esprit de corps, I think they call it.
It's amazing.
So, why the Navy?
So I was born in Southampton originally, and then moved to Essex, just outside Brighton, when I was 5. My mum and dad split up when I was about 8, and my mum met my stepdad, and they decided to move up to Sheffield to buy a bigger house. I've got 2 sisters, so for the 5 of us, and start a new life away from everything, which we did. Sheffield, obviously coal mining industry, steel industry was going through bad times, decline. I dropped out of my A-levels, had appendicitis when I was like in the last year, just after Christmas, sorry. So I had a month in hospital, 2 months recovering after that. So my A-levels, and I worked at water gardens doing landscape gardening, and one of the guys there was John Fowler, and he's an ex-police officer, and he kept badgering me saying, you need to do something with your life, and I was like, yeah, I do, but I just need to work out what. I'd been to see the Royal Tournament with my grandma. My grandma and granddad were both, on my dad's side, were both in the RAF. My uncle was in the army. On my mum's side, my grandfather was in the London Fire Brigade during the Blitz and everything. And so I thought I will join the Navy because no one's done that. And also I wanted to see the world, and never regretted it. And yeah, absolutely 28 years done coming in January, and absolutely loved it. Yeah, can't complain about it at all.
That was the recruitment drive, if I remember rightly. Back in the day, it was join the Navy, see the world.
Yeah,
that was the tagline.
And I have. I've done the whole of Europe, sort of coastal wise. I've done the whole of South America. Sort of, we went down to the Falklands, through the Patagonia Canal, back through Panama. I've done the east coast of America, west coast of Africa. I've never been through Suez on a ship, but I've served obviously in Iraq, Bahrain. I've been out to Australia on my old Deputy Staff Weapon Engineering Officer, the job to do assurance. So yeah, can't complain.
So that's all the fluffy stuff.
That's all the fluffy stuff.
All the, where's the stuff that scares you?
The stuff that scares me at the moment is at home. 2 young kids. It's really weird. I joined the Navy to serve the country, and that might sound, to some people that sounds really odd, but going out to Iraq in 2009 operationally to work in a conflict area was about, that's what we trained to do. Going on deployment, spending 6-7 months away from home on a ship, that's what we trained to do. So that's the stuff, and not probably that scares me, but that's what we train to do. We're trained, the training we get is second to none. It's amazing. But on a ship, you're trained to firefight. So we all trained in basic firefighting, and some people in the advanced firefighting, because you could be the one that discovers that fire, and you could make the difference between everyone having to get off that ship or saving the ship. And it's all about that first reactions to any incident that we find. Being a weapon engineer, again, dealing with lots of different live weapon systems. I'm an ordnance engineer by trade, so that's with the heavy guns, bombs, rockets, torpedoes, stuff that goes bang. So yeah, but again, the training is there to make sure that you're not scared of doing stuff. So yeah, work-wise, I'm not really that afraid of stuff. It's bringing up 2 little doors that scares the hell out of me.
Well, I guess the thing is, as you said, it's the best training in the world, and it is known to be the best training in the world. I've never yet, having had 4 children, seen any training program that prepares you for being a father anywhere.
No,
there are books,
yeah,
but until you're actually in it, and it's training on the go.
Yeah.
There's nobody to tell you what's going on, is there?
No, exactly. We just mentioned I was in Wales last week, and we went to the zoo, and there was 2 lions giving special cuddles, and trying to explain that to a 4-year-old. There's no book that does that, is there?
No,
exactly.
No, not really. And you're thinking, if I've got to deal with this now, how bad is it going to be when they're in their teens?
Exactly.
Do I want to be doing it?
So yeah. So I think, there's probably is stuff that scares me, but yeah, I don't. Work-wise, I think I'm in a nice place. done quite a few years now. So yeah.
So as a non-military person myself,
Yep.
in fact, if I had a regret in life, it would be that I didn't join one of the armed services. One of the reasons why I got into masonry, the camaraderie, etc. So I'm not military at all. My understanding was that if you joined as an artificer, it was the sort of quick track towards becoming an officer, or is that not?
So it's accelerated promotion within the ranks, or sort of rates.
Right.
Yeah. So it was literally, I joined, did my artificer training, and then become a leading hand after the 3 years, then a PO after 4.5, and then you do a board to get your chiefs after 7. Whereas that, for other ranks, that takes a lot longer.
Absolutely.
So it's sort of accelerated promotion to chief, and then after that, normally takes a long time to get to warrant officer. I sort of somehow managed to get promoted a bit quicker, and then when I reached warrant officer, my appointer sort of said to me, "If you don't commission, I'm going to send you back to sea for the next 12 years." At which point I was like, "Okay, I might look at it." And I was backed by a good friend, Steve Elliott, who was also on the Queen's funeral. He was the commander. So yeah. So again, it was just a really nice accolade to sort of be on that funeral. It was just, yeah.
Becoming an artificer, did you get any stick from the other people with because you had is it a red band you have round your head?
Yeah, so we had all our badges were red, and it always used to be that tiffs were spat at and stuff like that. Yeah. Traditionally, yes, that doesn't happen anymore. And unfortunately, yeah, the old artificer route has now gone. However, we do have fast track engineering technician routes now, so similar, but we're not allowed to call it the same.
So you've reached Chief Petty Officer.
Yep.
That's your career as far as you're concerned.
Yeah.
People said, you're destined for greater things. We've seen the mettle of the man.
Yeah.
You need to move on, or basically you're going to be doing lavatory duty.
Yeah. I think he was joking, but yeah, he just, I think everyone could see that there was more in me. So I wasn't pushed. I think it was the right time, but I've enjoyed every single moment, and I said I wouldn't change a thing. So yeah, going back and looking at it and just, yeah. And then, yeah, commissioned in 2010. At that point, we were told that we'd never make it above lieutenant because of the way the recruitment was going. So it was okay. It was all, I suppose, in a weird way about pension and also so the longevity of it. And then, obviously last year I was promoted to commander, which I never in a million years thought I would ever get to being a commander in the Royal Navy. So amazed at where I am now, but yeah, still loving every moment of it. And
I'd hazard a guess that that's one of the reasons why you got promoted, because you never had it in your sights, but they could see it there.
Yeah, probably. I'm not. I don't know. I just do my job and keep going. And like I said before, try not to let anyone down.
It's really weird because I can see all of us here, and it's in the body language how humble you are, because it's like, I don't know how I got there. Well, you do, but it's like that humble approach, which is one of the reasons I wanted you to appear on the show, Mike, to be honest.
No.
So I'm a monarchist, always have been. I love the pomp and ceremony. How, out of all the military personnel about, did you get chosen for that honour of arranging that part of the Queen's funeral?
So in 2018, I volunteered to do the cenotaph. So in 2018, I led the Royal Navy up to the cenotaph on November the 11th. It was Sunday, November the 11th, 100 years after Armistice Day.
Wow.
On the back of that, Warrant Officer Eddie Waring, who was the ceremonial Warrant Officer at the time, said, would I be on the bridge plan? Which obviously is part of any bridge plan, is sort of picked and it's all written down and it's all not rehearsed, but known about. So I said, yes, happy to be on the bridge plan. And then I suppose since then, we've always been on it, but you just think, well, I'm never going to get activated because the Queen's going to live forever. Not sounding bad, but none of us expected it. And then,
but that was the idea of the plan, isn't it?
Yeah. There's always one, and there's always one for every single role. It's all written. And then to get the phone call, Beatrice was 9 days old. I was on paternity leave. Marie's face was quite amusing. But yeah, Marie said, you've got to do it. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So yeah, to be part of that ceremony, and yeah, just I don't know. It was we were swept up in a little bubble. So from the day we got the phone call, the day after, we reported to HMS Excellent to start with, and then we were sent to Collingwood, and then from there we did 9 days solid training with the gun carriage and all the sort of the people pulling the gun carriage. We went up to London one night. I can't think, it was the Monday night before it, or at midnight, and we walked around London pulling the carriage to do the full rehearsal. And then on the day we did our stuff. But it was one of those things that, because I'd got Beatrice was days old, Eleanor was at nursery in Collingwood, so my day was get up, get Eleanor ready, take Eleanor to nursery, drop Eleanor off at nursery, get on the parade ground, do a full day's parade training, go and pick Eleanor up from nursery, go home, sort Eleanor out, make sure Marie and Beatrice are okay, go to sleep, repeat.
Rinse, repeat.
Yeah. And it was that little bubble, and we didn't, I've still not watched the whole thing.
Have you not?
No.
Because?
Just not had time. And I think it's in my head. I was there, I took part in it. And it wasn't until the coffin had been transferred from the gun carriage to the hearse, and it driven past, with all the Royals following in their cars to go to Windsor, and some of them sort of mouthed thank you to everyone as they were driving past, which was amazing. And it wasn't until we marched the gun carriage back to the Royal Mews down the hill that there were still crowds left, and they all started clapping. And I think that was probably the moment that we realised what we'd just done. Up to that point, we were just so focused that none of us wanted to be that person that did anything wrong, or anything like that. Yeah, and it was just one of those things that it's really weird. And then to be nominated for an MVO on the back of that, it was just amazing.
You pretty much answered my next question, which was going to be, when did the emotion kick in? Because obviously with the training that you're obviously concerned about that everything is going to go exactly the way you trained, but because of the training, unless something major happens, it is going to go exactly the way you trained. When does the emotion kick in? Because you said it's a once in a lifetime thing. Hopefully you'll never have to experience it again. Yeah. But what emotions were kicking in when you're on that come down, the adrenaline's?
I think it was one of those weird, I don't know, it was, I think everyone was tired, because it was one of those, everyone was concentrating so hard on everything that we were doing on that day, and I think it was that rush as we were coming back, that it was an emotion, and that the crowd were clapping us to say thank you, and it's like, well, this is our job.
Yeah.
And that might sound weird, but that's, as you said, that's what we're trained to do. That's what we're part of the Royal Navy, and that tradition of pulling the carriage was bestowed on us, and to be nominated to do it is a privilege and an honour. And then on the back of that, to then get the MVO was just out of this world.
So when did that happen? Was it just you woke up one day, there was a knock at the door and an envelope, or?
So we were told about it. So we were told like a couple of days before we were told, and then it went public. So you get, like, I think it was about 48 hour. You're not allowed to tell anyone. Obviously, you can tell Marie, but under strict, don't tell anyone else. Yeah. But and then obviously it all came out. It all gets properly announced. It's like the MB or any New Year's awards. Yes. You get told about it, and then the envelope drops through the door, and then we went and collected it.
And who presented you?
Princess Anne. So
lovely.
It was weird because the Navy went up as a contingent to Windsor. But I was out. This sounds really bad. I was out in Australia working with the Navy, doing assurance visit out on 2 of the batch 2s out there. So I wasn't part of that. So we had a separate one. But again, it was. I went to Windsor to get presented by Princess Anne, who I know through the Not Forgotten Association, through the charity work we do with those. So it was really nice, and that was a nice little chat, one-on-one chat with her being presented, and then it was a nice day out. So it was just nice to be able to take Marie and family to see something, and I suppose get recognised for what I've done. So
okay, 2 things. First thing, What's a batch 2?
So OPV, so Offshore Patrol Vessel Batch 2. So it's just the second variant of a. So we've got 2 of them. They're deployed around the world. So we've got 2 out in sort of the Indian Ocean area, Pacific area.
Yeah.
We've got 1 down the Falklands. We've got 1 in the Mediterranean, does med and round Africa, and we've got 1 over in the West Indies.
Yes.
So we've got 5 in total. So more acronyms, you see.
More acronyms.
More acronyms.
So I said 2 things. I was going to talk about the second thing, but it's just reminded me of the conversation we had, which was off camera, which is you're talking about these things every day. I'm thinking, you're letting out secrets. You're telling people where we're being deployed, and you said there's not an awful lot of secrets.
There are some secrets,
yes.
But the so the Offshore Patrol Vessel Batch 2s, they're out there all the time. I don't know their exact program, so I couldn't tell you where today they are.
Where they're deployed, for instance.
All I know is that's where they operate in those areas. So it's one of those things that they're out there, but where they are at certain times, I don't know. Yeah.
Now you mentioned that you knew Princess Anne previously.
Yeah.
Lovely that she gave you the award.
Oh yeah,
amazing. Yeah. But for the charity work you do, and you do a lot of charity work, Mike.
As I said to you, I don't like to let people down. That's my weakness. So I got involved with the Not Forgotten Association about 10 years ago, and since then I've done a lot of work with them. And it's just giving something back. It's a Not Forgotten to support veterans. And they look after them. They provide entertainment. So I first helped at one of the garden parties, and now I sort of help run the garden party on the military side of it. So
there's a surprise.
So shocker. But again on D-Day 80, I organised an afternoon tea at HMS Collingwood. It was going to be for 80 veterans, and then there was we're going to do an 80-mile bike ride. I was like, okay. So then we helped organise the 80-mile bike ride from Poole through. They stopped at Collingwood for the afternoon tea, and then we went to Hayling Island, and then we did the dinner in the Warrant Officers and Senior HMS at HMS Collingwood. So we took 8 veterans, and we took 8 serving personnel to do the 80 miles. And one of them was a double amputee called Johnny Ray, who is an absolute amazing person. He does a lot of work with the Not Forgotten, but just to sort of be behind him, averaging 17 miles an hour in a hand-powered trike across the New Forest, it was just like
in a hand-powered trike.
In a hand-powered trike. Yep.
You are jesting.
No. I was. It was just one of those amazing things.
He must have shoulders like an orangutan.
Yeah. He's massive, but he's absolutely such a nice guy. You would never. But it's those sort of people that inspire you to think. I'm sat here. I'm
for the grace of God.
I'm in pain because I stupidly did field gun, but and I'm too old. But people like that who have given more, they've lost limbs whilst serving our country. I've never had to endure that.
You don't just do the charity work. I mean, you've been commended for it as well, haven't you?
Yeah. I was commended by. So I received a First Sea Lord's commendation this year in the New Year's Honours list for the work I do. So which and again that was not expected, and it was nice to be recognised for it. It's I don't do it for the recognition. I do it to give something back, and it's something I want to continue to do, and I will continue to do, supporting the Not Forgotten, but also spreading the word of the Not Forgotten. There's something I want to do in October, November this year, is to organise something to sort of put that message across to the younger generation that are currently serving. And that's in the pipeline, and hopefully that will come to fruition later this year. And it's all about the service and what we do and what we are prepared to give. So and we'll see how that goes. But I'll invite you as well.
Thank you. I would
because I think you'll enjoy it.
I would definitely come along with it. Well, yes. I mean, for those sort of things, I would go to the opening of an envelope.
Yeah.
So you weren't expecting to get Commander. That wasn't on the. It was Lieutenant Commander. That's it.
It was a lieutenant, really. Yeah.
So, what's next? What's next for Commander
So
Mike?
I moved jobs on the 26th of August. I leave my current role, and I start my new role as Commander Engineering Carriers and Destroyers over in Portsmouth Naval Base. So that's going to be an interesting an appointment, trying to get the carriers and the destroyers away. So yeah, exciting times. And that's the nice thing about the Navy. We change roles every 2 to 3 years. So you never get bored of the same job. And it's always interesting work.
Could you go further?
I don't know.
Is that you? Is that the humble Mike speaking?
That's the humble Mike. I potentially, but I think I'm too old now. I'm there's a lot of younger people with more reach that will probably get pushed through.
Perhaps.
Yeah, more oomph. But
so, when your naval career comes to an end, what's Mike doing?
I would love to go and work in the charity sector, and again, just trying to help potentially the Not Forgotten or a charity similar to that to help others. That's probably where both Marie and myself see ourselves. Just it's giving something back rather than just and that might sound weird, but
no, it doesn't sound weird at all. It's I think it's continuing to give back.
Yeah,
because you've always been giving back.
Yeah,
in your career.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 daughters.
Yep.
When they ask, would you advise them to join up? Tough one.
It's a tough one. The Navy has changed. The Navy has changed massively over the time I've been in, and it's continuing to change. I would have to look at. We've got a while yet, so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. One last question.
Right then.
What piece of advice, knowing what you know now through your naval career, knowing what you know now through the charity work you've done, that young man that joined as an artificer, what piece of advice would you give him if you were to be able to go back in time?
I would tell him to spend as much time with the people he loves before they leave this planet.
That is a fantastic way to end this absolutely brilliant interview with Mike. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on this show.
Thank you for giving me the time.
Oh, it was fantastic just to find out about you and the amazing man that you are with regard to what you do. It sounds a bit American, but for what you do for all this country.
Yeah.
And I like watching the videos. I wish that we, as a country, spent more time being thankful for our military personnel like they do in the States.
Okay, thank you.
But you've got my vote. Thank you
Cheers.
so much, Mike. Cheers.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Cheers.